welcome back to the van build. Today is day 12, and if you've been following along, it has been quite a while since I last built and worked on the van. It's possibly been about 2 months, and when I was last building, I was in Pennsylvania on the east coast of America, and now I'm on the west coast. I've moved across the country, quit my job, got stuck in sand, yada yada yoda, you know how it goes. In all of that craziness, I never actually got to share the process of framing my ceiling, and I also never got to finish framing the edges that would connect to the ceiling and the wall framing. So today we're going to go back in time, back to Pennsylvania when I was building in my parents' driveway, and I'm going to show you that process. Oh, we're not taking this car. We're taking that one. A DeLorean, because, you know, my name is 𝗪cie. Do you see what I did there? Did you see it? So the ceiling framing will be pretty typical of a task, but I have a pretty unique method I masterminded for the edging framing later in the video. And when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit. Welcome to Van Build Day 9. So you're probably wondering why I drove all the way across the country to build out my van when this looks like a lovely spot in my parents' driveway. Well, winter is coming, and in the game of van builds, you build or you die. Or something like that. Ignore that. So today's goal was pretty big. I would like to finish all of the framing on the ceiling and the edges. Starting with the ceiling framing, I think it's super important to know your layout and what you need each board to hold to determine how you want to frame your van. I spent hours scouring the web collecting photos of every possible way people have framed their Promasters until I landed on my current design. This is also the same design I used in my last van I built, so I know it works well for me. Yep, there's lots and lots of options. You're welcome. It's what I do. I drink and I know things. So what you're seeing now is I cut my 1x3x6 into 15 pieces. Then I painted each board with a mold preventing primer. This was also a great time for me to use scrap pieces from other projects as well, as these pieces will all be covered eventually and perfection or sizing doesn't need to be particular. The next steps where I marked where the screw would be going into each board so that I could put the screws in advance to make this process easier. I used 1 7/16 wood to metal screws and used Loctite power grab on the back of each board for extra strength. I then proceeded to struggle to get it out of the tube. This clip is on 10x speed, so I had to use this method to have the arm strength to get anything out, but that's just because I'm stubborn and will always try to be innovative before spending any money, and as you can see, my caulk gun is broken. So while I was working, someone decided that my lunch would make a good swimming pool, and now my lunch is ruined, so it's twitching a little, which is a little gross, but also like a little sad. Next, I taped the pieces to the ceiling while I screwed them in so that I could use both arms for strength to drive the screw through the metal. And voila, simple as that. I tested the strength and it was super strong, so I just repeated this process for each board. So typically, people will just place one long wooden support along each rib. I chose to break it into 3 pieces per rib because my ceiling has a bit of a curve to it. And so you have to use some arm muscle to press the wooden support flush, and I am just one person without any fancy tool to hold up the board on the other end, so I just altered the typical framing to fit my needs during installation. And because I used the same method in my last van, I know those gaps in between are actually super convenient for wire runs. Things from here went pretty smoothly, except there were a few spots that I actually didn't have the arm strength to put the screw in myself because it was located on a spot with double metal. So I just left the tape on them and I figured I'd eventually ask someone stronger than me to help me get those in. Another option I could have gone with is placing a 2x2 alongside of the rib, which could save some space if you're looking for extra height. Personally, I am totally okay losing that inch from doing the framing in this style that I chose, but, you know, I thought I would mention it in case you wanted to do it in your van, and, you know, knowledge is power after all, right? Or is power power? That, my dear 𝗪cie, is a conversation for another time. And there you have it. Now our ceiling is framed. This was such a simple step. If you are thinking of building out a van and you're new to building, it is so great to be able to learn and start the process on things that will be covered up in the future. So don't feel intimidated. There is so much time to learn and grow. For now, I'm just touching up some of that mold resistant primer, but I still have more framing to do. But as we say to the god of death, not today. So let's go back to the future so we can finish framing the edges. Woo! Bumpy ride. I might have to work on the flux capacitor. Let's get back to building. After 2 months of not building, it may finally be time to put these sawhorses to real use again. Something that became really apparent for me, especially in this piece of the build, is that there are no rules. You can do whatever you want. As long as it's functional, as long as it's safe for you, that if you get in an accident and you're driving, the thing will fly off and hit you. There's no rules. Make whatever you want, however you want. So that is what I am doing today. So if you don't like it, you don't want to do it, don't worry about it. You don't gotta do it this way. If you like it, great. So as you know, we already have all of the side walls and the ceiling framed. My concern now is these pieces here, how the wall is going to hold up and how I'm going to be able to connect those two pieces. So I want to kind of create something along the lines of this, where this is going to screw in through here, and this is going to have a piece cut out in the back that goes here, and I'm going to use cranked screws and connect them. That is the goal. So the current conundrum, if you will, is that I need to figure out what angle will let these two pieces connect best. Unfortunately for me, I left my miter saw at my parents' house when I was building because of space, so now we're just using the circular saw for most cuts, so one blade to rule them all, if you will. These goggles remind me of, I am Quidditch ready. Put me in. I am ready to go find that flying golden snitch. Beep, 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 beep. I love being me. Okay. That was so unstraight, and I didn't even finish cutting it. No rules. Don't let anyone tell you there are any rules to this shit. Good chow. Moment of truth. Ugh, it's perfect. So this angle is actually just a test angle, but I actually think it actually might be perfect. My only other concern is this comes off the edge. I want this to be completely flush, and right now we have a little bit of a lip coming off of here. With that lip, then the wall that I eventually put on here will also pucker out there. So I'm going to use this method that I made up myself and just cut off some of the back piece so that way it fits perfectly with no lip. So as always, I just want to drop my disclaimer that I am not a professional van builder of any kind, which you probably have picked up at this point. And I am just out here documenting my progress and experiences, having fun and messing around. What does Miss Frizzle say?
Take chances, make mistakes, get messy!
That's what I'm doing out here, and I'm having a great time, and I really like the idea of my channel being motivation for people thinking about building or worried about picking up power tools for the first time. Because I was there too 4 years ago when I built out my first van, just overwhelmed and trying to find affordable help. So as always, I have my discount link to VanLife Academy, a step-by-step program on how to build a van by professional van builders to help make your process 10 times easier, and they also have numerous methods and numerous teachers. So if that's helpful for you, check out the link in the description. All right, now I feel a little less crazy, or at least reasonable, to be able to show you how I decided to use my jigsaw to do what a sane person would have done on a table saw. But there is not a table saw just out here in the middle of the desert, so I am just yeeting my jigsaw into this wood, hoping for the best with my only focus on making sure I keep all of my fingers. It doesn't have to be perfect. No one is ever going to see this except all of you watching this video right now. But yeah, it just needs to be effective, not pretty. So now that I have all 5 that I need cut out, I am moving on to cutting the angle piece. So I am putting the circular saw to a 32-degree angle, and it worked out perfect on the first try. So now I am off to create 4 more of these pieces. 𝗪cie. Now I have to create some pocket holes to be able to install them. I put the pocket holes on both sides of the long straight pieces. and before painting them, I tested them out to make sure they fit and had to recut some to make each fit absolutely perfectly snug. Then I labeled them all so I'd remember which ones fit where. So, bad news. I literally just got back from Lowe's. Like, I literally just drove there to buy this, to prime all of the wood. This is paint. Do you know what goes really well with paint? Paintbrushes. And I thought I had paintbrushes because I had a million of these. I have so many of the roller sponges. Ends up, I must have left the handle at my parents' house in Pennsylvania, across the country. So, innovation of the day, because this is all I have in here, and Lowe's is 20 minutes, a 40-minute drive there and back. We're not doing that. I'm gonna try to just stick this screwdriver in this paint roller and like paint like this, and we're gonna see how it goes. I also happened to forget my usual paint stirring stick, so I used my old eyebrow pencil. This is just innovation at its finest, people. Innovation is the name of the game in VanBuilds. Honestly, this video is starting to just feel like pure chaos. Oh my dear Lord. Well, this is so bad. Desperate times, desperate measures, honestly. The 40 minutes I'm saving by not driving there right now, I'm gonna waste in taking so long to paint these. And that brings us to the sponsor of today's video. Painting is an integral part of your van build you'll be doing almost every day along this journey. And one of the greatest parts about DIY building out a van is learning to champion your pain to become the greatest version of yourself. So if you want to achieve real growth, stop avoiding pain and misery. Try our 2-in-1 painting nightmare, the screw roller. If you're looking for a twist on traditional painting that will leave you in mental anguish, why let time and age be the reason for your hair loss, when the screw roller will have you pulling out your hair in minutes? Life wasn't meant to be easy. Life is about suffering. And the team here at Screw Roller Industries understands that. We help make every simple painting task take a screwed up amount of time. Your roller will constantly be falling off and applying in inconsistent amounts of paint, teaching you the true meaning of patience. If you thought you couldn't buy life lessons in virtues, think again. Our customers are raving. Mr. Turner829 said, "Thanks, Screw Roller. Thanks to you, I finally have outdone those darn Dinkelbergs." So don't wait. Invest today in the Screw Roller. Check out the link in the description for more information. If you watch that and you're like, this is why this girl gets no work done, for the record, I was literally waiting for paint to dry. And it dried, so mission accomplished. And they're dry. Ooh, we gotta install them now. I'm nervous. So from here on out, this is a pretty straightforward task. I'm inserting the bottom 2 Craig screws first. Then using a single 1/7/16 screw, I'll attach the angled piece directly into the van's metal. I use my fingernail to mark where the small piece of metal is that the screw must go through. Then I finally screw the rest of the Craig screws into the long board directly into the angled piece. This process was pretty simple. I did have 2 screws split the wood a little, so that was a little nerve-wracking. And they aren't perfect, but I liked this method in my last van build when I installed the tongue and groove boards on the ceiling eventually, and the 1/14 inch Baltic birch I used for the walls and the tongue and groove I used for the ceiling just played really well together. This method also does not add a lot of weight and gets the job done well, so I have no regrets using and creating this method. It's also super sturdy, but as I only plan on putting in 1 set of upper cabinets, this won't actually be holding a lot of weight. Yeah, I don't know why she's acting shocked. She's literally the one who put it back up there after it already happened. So what did she expect, I guess? I don't know. Anyway, there you have it, the final piece in my framing installation. I do still need to find someone with arm strength to put in those final screws in the ceiling framing, and the framing for the front and back piece is something that I plan to install the day I install the tongue and groove on the ceiling. But the front piece will be a 2x2 pine attached with VHB tape, and the back piece will be a 1x2 pine screwed directly into the metal to make it level. This again is the same method I used for my last van build, so I know it works and held up for at least 4 years, so I'm pretty confident in it. And there you have it, the final framing video in our van build series. Next, I'm hoping to tackle the max air fan and the skylight, and I'm currently working on figuring out how to plan for my electrical system. So lots to do and learn and enjoy, and today was lots of fun. I almost want to rip it all out and do it all over again. Almost. I said almost, alright? Don't worry, I wouldn't ever do that. Probably. You never know. I mean, I did tear out my floor and redo that, so I just like to keep you on your toes. I'll see you in the next video.